What's up, guys? It's Chris back with another watch review, and today we are taking a look at the Citizen Brycen. This is the Vintage Brycen, 44 millimeters, 100 meters water resistant. This is a watch with a domed mineral crystal. I recently purchased this from Macy's directly. I was in the store. I saw the watch. It was 20% off and then an extra 25% off. Originally, the retail price on this watch is $295. And it came down to about $179 or $195 with tax. The reason why I bought it is when I saw that dial, the look of the watch in general really reminds me of a lot of vintage skin divers. I really love that genre of watch, and I thought it looked really good in the showcase, so I asked about it, and they told me it was only $179, so I purchased it. So I will say one thing about this watch: it does have one of the nicest dials on a very inexpensive watch that I have ever seen. There's tons of texture. There is a gradient from blue to black, as you can see. There's a little bit of green in there. It looks a lot like the Tissot C-Star 1000. However, obviously a watch that you know that I love. However, it's a little bit different. It doesn't change colors as much, but there is a texture to the dial, which you can see when I move it around in the light. It almost has a similar effect as the Tissot, but I would actually say this is actually maybe a smidge nicer than the Tissot. It's a little bit more classic, a little bit more vintage looking. Now, I don't believe this watch is actually based on any vintage Citizen at all that came from their history. However, I think they just, went and looked at watches like the Longines Skin Diver and other watches like that and said, hey, we can make a watch like that and we can make it pretty cheap. They put obviously a quartz movement in this. You can see it ticking along there. Eco Drive, which is solar powered by any sort of light. The indices on the dial, I think, are applied. I really can't find much information about that. They are raised. They're loomed. The loom is pretty good. It's not great. They are a little bit shallow, like I said, so they could be painted on and then have some sort of metal surround on them, but it looks pretty good. I also like the sword hands that they put on this watch. It works very well. There's like a little bit of a lollipop second hand ticking along there. It looks pretty good. The crystal on the watch is a mineral crystal. It is slightly domed and slightly boxed. Very, very nice. The bezel is ion plated. Now, here's where we get into a couple of issues with the watch. This does not move. It is fixed. Citizen's answer to that is that if you are diving with this watch, even though it is 100 meters, you probably would not be taking your life in your own hands with this watch and going diving. They say to actually set the time, the minute hand, to the apex, and then that's how you would time your dive. So you wouldn't know what time it is anymore because you would now have the wrong time unless you're diving exactly on the hour. So that kind of doesn't make sense. Push-pull crown, 100 meters water resistance. Again, 100 meters is fine for swimming. I don't think that it should be used for diving. Obviously, this is not ISO certified. I would not go diving with a watch like this. You definitely can get it wet. You can go in the shower. You could wash your hands. You could go swimming. Light things like that. That's perfectly fine. So, again, the bezel is also ion plated. I really don't love that either. However, overall, I don't think you could find a better looking blue dial watch for under $200 anywhere, in my opinion. It reminds me a lot of the Longines Skin Diver. It reminds me a lot of the Tissot C-Star. These are all watches over $1,000. The Longines actually is $2,600. It has a lot of the same aesthetic. It doesn't have a blue dial, but it has that black bezel. Of course, it is 300 meters water resistance, but it is $2,600 for that dial, for that watch. So for $179, you're getting a lot of that style, a lot of that presence, and in a very cheap package compared to the Longines. Yes, you're getting a quartz, no screw down crown, and a fixed bezel. But in all honesty, the watch doesn't feel cheap. It's a little bit light. It's not very light. It's a stainless steel construction. The back of the watch has a screwed-on back. It's not the nicest. It is engraved. It says Citizen Eco Drive, and you have the typical stainless steel, and the water resistance numbers there. Unsigned crown, obviously. The strap is very flexible and soft. It is leather. I don't like that it says right here, made in China. It says it right on the band China. It is genuine leather. The buckle is actually very nice. You can see there. It is milled, I believe. It's a nice little buckle, and it's really it looks good. And it's a little bit, tang. It's like a little bit of a flare at the end. It looks pretty good. All in all, for the price, I really genuinely don't think you can go wrong with this watch. Anyway, tell me what you think about this watch. Tell me what you think. Is there another watch out there at this price range that has a dial like this? I know Seiko probably makes something that competes with this. I don't know if I've seen a Seiko watch that really has a textured dial like this. They don't do that very much, or a gradient dial. And there's not a Seiko 5 that I think can really compete with the dial. I also have an SNZH57 Seiko 5. I'll do a comparison with that watch. But like I said, I think this is a great value. So please add a comment below. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful and much appreciated. And thank you for logging on.